Today's guest is one of the best recruiters of the Netherlands. She has helped many of the fastest growing scale-ups. Let's talk to Irene, founder of People Finders, what brought her to The Hague. Hi Irene, so good to see you. We know each other really well and I really look forward to sharing your story about People Finders, the amazing company you have, and the how and why you started it and why you live here in The Hague. Let's start with the origin of your company. How did it all start?
I founded People Finders to help companies grow, help all kinds of companies grow. Not in business, but with people. So I'm lucky enough to help startups, scale-ups, tech, also non-tech companies, but specifically tech companies, to reach their growth potential by getting the right talent on board. So I help early stage startups with, say, the first 5 champions that they need or that they're looking for, but I also help bigger scale-ups in finding 100+ software engineers within 6 months.
So what is it that you actually do differently, right? So why, butts and seats is a stupid business apparently. What does people do?
Well, I don't think it's stupid necessarily because it's a multi-million-dollar industry, specifically in the Netherlands. But I just don't like, there's no win-win, as we Dutchies like to say. So I really like to help companies create their own story, find their own story, and make sure that you use all the tools out there to target your audience, and instead of putting only the butts in seats, because obviously we need people to grow our business, but you make sure that after you leave they have a tool and they have a recruitment machine that they can work with themselves. So that means I use a lot of AI, we use a lot of tooling to make sure that we reach the right targets, but we also use online marketing because that is the way the new recruiters work. And if you can embrace that as a recruiter, then you'll be much more successful instead of only putting the butts in the seats. And I mean CV pushing, right? So you put a CV out there, or you push a CV, you get a CV by email, and you're like, yes, this is the candidate I want, and you pay a fee. But what we do is we make sure that you have your own employer brand, we get your story out there, and we hyper-target the people that you need via online marketing.
And why is this a subject that you really want to start your own company on, and that is like it feels like you have a lot of passion for doing more than just recruiting, right? So you want to really connect this talent to the right companies, and where does that passion come from?
Yeah, I come from an entrepreneurial family. So my grandfather was also The Hague, is a very successful entrepreneur in The Hague. He had an engineering agency. I have other family. I have a family of 3 brothers that also are passionate about entrepreneur and about creating business and doing your own business. So that really helps understand what founders walk into when they see that talent is a bottleneck in your own growth as a business. So I really like, I have this feeling that I like the red carpet when the red carpet is there for me, because you actually made such an impact on a business that they can reach their own goals. But I also like that you help people find really good jobs, and that you actually make a difference. And I don't just do it for my own business. I also like to help companies, no cure or not no cure, no pay, but non-profit wise, and making sure that people understand the importance of talent in growing a business, but also that they learn that you can do it yourself as a founder. There are so many things you can do without just relying on an external agency, that I really love to share that. And yeah, it gives me a good feeling at the end of the day. What can I say?
Oh, that's great. That's great. That's the most important thing, right?
Yeah.
And And so you're on this journey now that I think you have a 20 plus or more team, which is so you're really one of the bigger, and you work for these amazing companies. But where is this going? What's next? What are you looking for?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, we're going internationally, so that's our aim. We have more than one international client, and I think a lot of businesses that we help very successfully, so they are also ready to move abroad. So for me, I don't necessarily aim to have like 500 people in my company, but I do really like that we can impact so many companies that are looking for growth and looking for growth scenarios and looking for tools how to find talent. So the more companies I can help, the better it is. So for me, upcoming year, we're really focusing on improving our process and making sure that all the tooling that we have and develop ourselves to make recruitment even easier is set for international expansion. So that's what we're going to.
Cool. And if you look at all these lessons you've learned and that you're now scaling, and probably people who are watching this, they either have a big company or they're startups, and what's like the number one mistake they all make?
Not hiring me. No. Kidding. Definitely don't hire me. There's a waiting list, please. What's the number one mistake? I think they rely on external sources for one of their biggest assets, and that's getting talent on board. And if you rely on external agencies too much and for too long, then you lose grip on one of your most important assets, and that is getting talent on board. So for me, that is the biggest mistake I see founders make. I have a really no-nonsense approach. I'm also, I'm lucky enough to be in touch with a lot of scale-ups and founders. And I seriously, when you explain that there are ways to put yourself in power and in a position where it's really easy to find talent by just looking at your own people and making sure that you get that process and a machine in for yourself, it's a really big eye-opener. So I think that's the biggest mistake, or the biggest, it can also make you stand out in the crowd if you do it differently. If I grow too much and every company is not relying on external agencies, I think there's a difference between relying on an external agency for 100%, or you just have certain specific jobs that you use external partners for. Because obviously we have relocation partners that we work with. If you're looking for really specific Elixir developers, or you're looking to hire 90 or 100 plus soft Java engineers, it's going to be really difficult to only rely on internal sources. So you have to find the right mix. But having a plan that doesn't solely rely on external partners, is key in my approach, and is key in the success of our clients.
Cool. And you've helped so many amazing companies, and is that so? How does it relate to being in The Hague? Is there a connection, and do you feel like this is a place that helps you succeed in doing this?
Definitely, yeah. I'm like a huge fan of The Hague. The funny thing is, on the way here, I really thought about growing up in The Hague, because I grew up in the region. And in my high school class, we had like 28 people, and in my high school class there are 5 successful entrepreneurs. I mean, big time entrepreneurs, which really stood out to me, because I was like, wow, that's pretty impressive. In one class, 5 successful people that sold their business and are growing other businesses. I think The Hague is a very quirky tech community, or startup and scale-up community, but it offers so many opportunities to young entrepreneurs, but also medium-sized companies to scale, but also to relax. I think The Hague for me is the number one place to be, because it almost sounds like a promotional. It almost
but
sounds,
it's true.
Yeah, it's definitely true. You have the beach, you're so close to hubs like Amsterdam and Utrecht and Rotterdam. Schools are nearby. for every stage that we are scaling in, and every stage companies scale in, there's a specific community, and there are activities, and I really like the quirkiness and the homey feeling that The Hague offers me as a person, on a personal note, but also as a business.
And that helps in also in finding people that want to live here, and also or customers or
Oh, you mean how does it relate to my business?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think The Hague, a lot of companies look, and if people relocate, so we relocate a lot of techies from different European or outside of Europe, and they look into Amsterdam, but you quickly find out that Amsterdam is very expensive. So you look at the suburbs of Amsterdam, and you move a little bit closer to other cities around Amsterdam. And I see a lot of my clients have a HQ in Amsterdam, but their people live in The Hague and surroundings. So yeah, helping my business is increasing the tech community. You see a lot of, I know that we are, I think a couple of years ago we were set, The Hague was set as the number 4 or number 3 rising star in tech community. So there's lots of going on. And you know what I really like about the tech community here is that I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say this compared to Amsterdam, but I work a lot in Amsterdam, and as an entrepreneur I also struggle with, should I have a hub in Amsterdam or not, where I can, not my HQ, it will always be in The Hague, but should I have an Amsterdam hub? But the thing is that in Amsterdam, it's a difference. There's a difference in personality. In Amsterdam, I'm used to talking the talk, and here we really walk the talk. So we are a community of doers, and that helps a lot in doing business. I'm no nonsense, and I think my clients from this region are very no nonsense as well. And it makes for a lot of successful companies that use funding or don't use funding. There are a lot of secret gems in this region that you will never hear of, you won't see in programs, but they create a lot of business, they create a lot of work opportunities. So yeah, I think The Hague is a great place to start and to grow your business.
Awesome. And maybe to dive in a little bit more on the personal side as well, like what is what's the craziest thing you tell people about The Hague, or what's your craziest memory that you want to share with us?
That I'm allowed to share.
That you're allowed to share.
I have so many great memories in The Hague. I think the Malieveld is, where we're sitting in the center of The Hague right now. Malieveld is just a couple of blocks away. We have Coldplay, we had Bruce Springsteen there. So I think there's lots of culture, music, beach parties. There's crazy stuff going out here all the time. I think the most important thing is it just feels like coming home. For me, The Hague is home. And you can put me in New York, and you can put me in Berlin or Paris, or I visit clients in Madrid. But for me, The Hague feels like my hometown.
Awesome. And
the funny part is, but you know this as well, obviously, is that it feels like sort of a village, and it's not, because it's a city. And some people, like the big thing of tourists in the city, but here you can, so with my team, if you end your work week on a Friday night, you go to the Plein, for instance, and you can have drinks with the Prime Minister, who's also there usually on Friday nights. And next to you is a group of students. I really like that part of The Hague. We are a sort of tight community, but there's lots going on all the time.
And you forgot to mention that you're also a surfer, right? So it's like surfing on the beach, that kind of stuff.
Well, I didn't forget it. I didn't want to mention it because you might ask, how good are you? And I'm more of a paddler than a surfer.
Well, but you're a good paddler then.
Yeah, I'm a good paddler. No, I really like the beach. Yeah, obviously, it's one of the biggest sellers for The Hague. It's like a 10-minute tram or bike ride to the beach, and yeah, you can find me there any day, almost any day. If we have team activities, if I invite clients over, I love the beach.
So you work with a lot of clients here, and if you look at this specific place in Europe, do you feel like they all share their vision or your vision of this is the perfect place to conquer Europe, and is it or for similar reasons, or are there also other things that you're...
Difficult question, but I'll try to answer it. Yeah, I believe so, but you know, I work with companies all over the Netherlands, right, all over the world. I think that what people really have in common in The Hague is that you have to be part of the community that includes governmental organizations, that includes big corporates, but that also has a very active startup and student community. And I think that is what makes a great place of work. So I'm more myself not so into the hipster or just one sort of portray of a community, but I really like that in The Hague you can sit next to a biker gang and on the other end you have drinks with the mother. You know, I really like that part that you can just be yourself. It's a very authentic city with beautiful architecture. So yeah, I see it as a perk that it's the relations with corporates are really close, and with governments as well. So if you look at programs that are run here, like hackathons, or specific programs for students in Delft, obviously our technical university is, I think it's really interesting the impact that you can make. So it's not about making money, it's about making impact. And I think a lot of organizations here agree. It's the no nonsense, we're communities of doers, we love to make impact, we love to make the difference, and obviously we love to make money, or we're not afraid to make money. But I really like the impact because there are so many stakeholders. Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
absolutely. It's one of the things that I love about The Hague as well. It's the mix of all these different things. This is like an amazingly positive story. There must also be like stuff where you feel like, you know, we must improve here, right? So
Well, we must improve, but there are also, you know, living in a village, sort of like, comes with, if you have a hangover, the next day everyone knows what you did last night. So yeah, you know, there
and
are
it
always,
happens a lot.
yeah, you're not anonymous. So that means that if you have the spotlight, like right now, I'm afraid the crap I'm gonna get over me. Oh, you didn't mention this, and you didn't mention that. So you know that you're less anonymous. So everything you do must be right. I think that's we are a very modest community, and what I really truly believe, and I can sort of not say it for my own company, but for the clients that I work with in this region, is that I think there are a lot of modest founders. So modest that they will never take the spotlight. They do great stuff, they build great stuff, but they shy away from the attention. And I think that's something the Dutch have in general, but I specifically think that this region, and I include, if we look a little bit bigger, Zuid-Holland, Rotterdam, there are so many energetic, great founders, but they shy away from the spotlight. That's something we should improve. And I think initiatives like this help. But we should, give them like a podium or something, you know what I mean?
It's actually kind of a recurring theme in talking to different people here, that it's about the modesty, and also about the kind of how society is very skeptical when you have big ideas. But then also a thing that we discussed earlier was that also people react very positively when you then kind of break through the modesty. So when you then accomplish something that no one ever thought you accomplished, then everyone becomes your biggest fan, right? So do you see do you see a similar thing, or do you only see the modesty part and you really feel like it's a bad thing that
No. I think it's beautiful. I like modesty. I think it's a trait, but it's sort of sometimes stops you from getting into programs, getting connected with the right people at the right time. And if someone always else will take the spotlight, then that means that you'll get maybe less opportunities. So I totally agree with you. It is a recurring theme. I talk to a lot of founders, and it's something that is recurring for the entire community in the Netherlands, the tech community, but also outside tech. Yeah, it's interesting if it's a bad thing or a good thing. You know, you can twist any trade in a good way. If you're a little bit like me, you can. But you know, we have this saying: "Doe maar gewoon, dan is het gek genoeg." How does it go? Doe maar gewoon, dan ben je gek genoeg. Nee.
Act normal, then you're doing crazy enough.
Yeah. Then you're crazy enough. I think that's something that comes back, or it goes back to our first line of entrepreneurs. The people that we just like to work hard, we make the difference towards clients or towards our end users instead of telling everyone we're the best up front. We like to surprise people and showing them that we're the best, and proving, and put your money where your mouth is. Like I said, you walk the talk instead of only talk the talk.
So we should do more to find those gems that you're also talking about, and put them on a podium and show them that this.
Yeah, maybe not a podium, but as a community we could embrace and empower them much more, because the companies in the spotlight, they will always claim the first right.
Yeah.
But there are lots of my brother has a great company. He would never specifically take the spotlight, but he has a fantastic advertising agency, and I would love him to have more access to tools that the rest of the community has access to. You know what I mean? Or
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think it's a Dutch thing, right? It's that people are indeed modest, and people don't like the fact that people react very strongly to the fact that when you have ambition, people tend to talk you down. I think there is this upside that people also become very positive once you then actually achieve something. It's this crazy thing, right? But no, I totally agree. And the question is, what do you do to kind of mitigate that, and you know, how do you keep on going? So how do you, because it's also it can also wear you down a little bit, right? If you're surrounded by modest people, right? And I think the amazing thing is that people like you and all of sort of we find a way to cope with that, right? So we feel we use it to our strength, or
yeah, exactly. We twist it in a way that works for us and for me. At least I do. I know that people, when they meet me, they're not like, well, you're modest, but I honestly, I'm very modest.
Looking at the camera, I'm really modest.
Oh, this sounds so bad. But it is true. I think almost all founders that I know are modest. I saw the Mendix, the founder of Mendix, in a sort of boot camp environment this week. Also very modest. The guy he's a Rotterdam founder, right? So he's also from the region. He just sold his company to Siemens for loads, but still a very modest guy. I can just pick him as a The Hague, Rotterdam guy from a crowd, and I like it. So it binds us, right? It binds us. I can also pick an Amsterdam founder from a crowd. I would avoid him, but but I would definitely. But you know, it's really I like it. I like the modesty, but I also like it that as a community we are creating much more initiatives to boost founders that are hidden gems, that shy away a bit more, and that we force them into submission. We force them into sort of using toolings to scale.
And maybe that kind of is also the mission of what you're doing, right? It's about finding the amazing people that really want to work hard, that are not all talk but all action, and making sure that they build amazing companies, right? Is that
Yeah, so I don't work for companies without a purpose anymore. That's something I'm so lucky that I get to draw a line somewhere. Maybe someday I have to say I work for this company and they don't have a purpose, but for me it's really important to find purpose-driven companies and make sure that they reach, at least the talent will not avoid them for making their dreams come true.
Yeah, so you're seeing rises in certain sectors like cybersecurity. What happens there, and maybe also, you know, combined with another question, do you see the impact of COVID on this on working in The Hague, and what is that impact?
I think we Dutchies are very no nonsense. To be honest, in most of my clients, there's a no BS rule that's if you have COVID, you stay away, and we try to test as much as possible. But basically, in my line of field, if you have to grow companies, you have to be at that company. You have to be with teams to make teams. So there are a lot of remote possibilities, and there are a lot of places that you can also go to if you have a very small office at home and you need a place to work. But I think the no nonsense is we take care of business, and we do it in such a way that COVID, yeah, it evolves around COVID, in my opinion. So for me, we live by the rules, and we make sure that everyone stays safe. But yeah, we try to work around COVID, and I see most of my clients, but most companies and founders and teams that I work with do the same.
And they're still scaling and growing.
Yeah, definitely. There's no, even COVID even gave us, or gave me and the companies I work for, a lot of benefits and opportunities to grow, because it's much easier to get interviewed, right? It's much easier to schedule meetings and to have a cup of coffee with someone, even if it's digital. So yeah, it didn't stop us from growing the teams that we needed to grow. But I can also imagine that there are lots of companies. I know that there's a parade going on now in regards to festivals. That's like an industry I don't work for, but I can imagine that they suffered more from COVID than in my industries or the companies that I work for.
All right, thanks very much. I think it's awesome what you're telling us, and I really look forward to seeing the future of People Finders. So, just one final question: how would you look at the future of The Hague, and where would you hope that you contribute to, and bringing these amazing people here? Where are we going?
Wow. Well, I hope that we keep this driving community growing, that we can make lots of impact as a city, and that we will be, maybe even more internationally recognized as an impact city.
Awesome. Those are great words to end this conversation. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.